Okay, thank you for the invitation. So for me is coming back a bit after a while out of and as we consider actually the paper we submitted was an old paper with me. This is a joint work with Lifshitz, who is sitting there, and Mike Keane is somewhere. Before coming, we submitted a sort of an old paper. Osnat and I had been working for a while. We start working with this with Mike after Mike had some comments on the paper by Osnat and myself on dynamic female labor supply. And we are very much in the middle, so it's very much a preliminary. I've seen some other preliminary work here, but I think this is a bit more preliminary in the sense that we were not able to get even a calibration result and first simulation. So basically, what we have is, I think that our paper is fully motivated by looking at CPS on the data. So I will spend some time on the data and then set the kind of what is the questions that we get from the data. It will be quite obvious, but to focus, and I spend the type of the model, would like to get a lot of your comments on the model, because as you know, this kind of model, as you may presume, with the auto ship, is that's going to be a long time of on the computer. But I can tell you that now you can buy very cheaply on Google 64 processors, very cheap, and that's what we will do, and tell you about potential results. So we reconsider the married, non-married, females and males dynamics in the labor market. So that's basically the story. So the data, I think this is the data we have been using before. Most of us used is CPS data. We will focus on age 22 to 65, although the actual paper we will go from age 16, okay? Because schooling is endogenous here. And schooling is, we still want to make schooling as an important aspect of the potential story, the way we go, very much in the spirit and of what also Raquel has been presenting. And we will look at the data 62 to 2011. And I think it's important to, and as we will continue, it will take a few years, we will get some more data points. And I want to emphasize that these new data points are very important. And they provide us, I think, we are really in a real case of an experiment in labor market, I think. And I will try to show you what I mean. And you can see it immediately in the first slide. So our other paper, and a lot of the paper was motivated from this slide, which I think is quite striking. I think it has been recognized also to the people who look at this slide sometimes in the 80s, that the green one is the divorced female, the red one are the single females. This is aggregate data from 62 to 2011. And you can see that when we did our paper here, before the crisis, 2006, there's a very flat employment rate of around 70% of non-married by single and divorced. And then all the increases by married. Just to point out something about what the crisis do, the crisis provide us a really unexpected shock in the labor market, which is quite significant. And you immediately see that. And what you see, which I think is something I want to emphasize, is that there is a decrease in the employment rate of both singles and divorced, more than the employment rate decrease of married. And jump to the male, I think the male are not working all the time. But it's quite interesting. The male actually, the married one are decreasing their employment. And they're decreasing a bit in the crisis. And the divorced and single men behave very much the same. Okay? And they decrease even more.
Have you got self-employed inside there as well?
Excuse me?
Self-employed, are they there?
Yes. No, just wages. Okay, so that's, I think, that's the picture we want to fit. And we really, I think it's a key issue in this fit, and that's where we are going, is that the selection of who is single, who is divorced, and who is married is a key to the whole story. Okay?
Isn't there a bit of the aging of the baby boom?
There is a lot of age issues, and we will control for this and so forth, but but I think okay, I'm just giving you the data. There is a lot of age, of course, there are more young people. The female and the male are younger when they are single, and they are older when they are divorced, but they behave very much the same.
No, says that.
But just
baby boom. That's the same.
baby boom, okay. Cohort effect is key to our discussion. Baby boom is a cohort effect, okay? We will talk about this. It's a key to the whole what we are doing. You have seen some of this with Raquel's presentation. But I think I wanted to put unemployment. It's not that it's a macro model, but I think it's an aggregate data that we want at the end to fit. We will go from the individual data. As I said, there is a lot of going on in the aggregate. And as you know, I come from a bank, and you know that actually unemployment become a key indicator for almost all macros business cycle. And you see it here. But I think it's quite amazing. I didn't know about this before. I looked at this recently. So I don't know how many of you knew that. Look at the correlation on the unemployment among men between divorce and single, and the level, and the fluctuations in the business cycle. I think this is a new story for me. And you can see this is the green are divorced, the red are single. And look, they respond to we have few recessions here, right? I can take the NBR and put here, and look at the last one. And the level, it's quite higher, much higher. And also, the shock of this recent crisis is much higher and you saw it in the employment side, but the unemployment is important. So you can see working, not working is a key variable. But it's also the same is about female. The one thing which is interesting is that female, actually the level is still higher, but not as much. And also this response for unemployment of a single and divorced. And we say age, I mean, just remember that single are younger, divorced are older than married on average. Okay? So that's, I think, so that's the second picture to try to explain. Now, if you look at the cohort effect. So that's, I think, we use this picture quite a bit in the discussion of the cohort effect and the culture and technology and all these different hypotheses that have been used in the literature, both in the theory and the empirical work, and all the relevant literature is, almost all of it is representative here in this room, so I have to be very careful whom I mention, whom I don't mention, because, well, I'm not that important, but everyone. So you know the literature, I will mention a few of this. But I think the point is that I think a key difference here is that there is almost no, not completely, almost no cohort effect on the male issues. And the story is really within the family, right? I mean, the difference, I mean, what's going on within the household versus what's going on out for people with household with only one partner or one person. But you can see the huge impact of the 25. And really what we are focusing, we focus, I want to say, most of our empirical work, we focus on the cohort of 55. So it's the late baby boomers. And maybe this time we will go also for the 45. This is the two of them. Well, one reason is that we want to go on the 55 and the 45 is that we really have the data. We know what, we have their lifetime, okay? And what we see is that the recent cohort, they seem to converge among female. With male, there is still decrease in the cohort. So it's really a question if the story is that there are a lot of things that are affecting the household over time, so it affects cohorts differently. Why it affects so much the female, that's maybe related to the female jobs, right? That's the story that goes on, affects more the female.
But it says non-married female. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is the male. Where did I do it? This is the non-married female. No, that's what I was, okay. I didn't.
Is that correct? Those males or
No, just a second. Where are my males? I took the. Yeah. Okay. So, but the males, as you can see, there is not much of a story. Okay. The other thing which I think is important or related is what I wanted to say here, is that why it's not that affecting the non-married female. If it's all technology with kids and the household, why, I'm just asking, why it doesn't affect this group? I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm just saying that I think it's a puzzle, and this picture, so what we look here is just on divorced females with children. And why does the pattern of divorced women with children is not similar to the one with, for the married one? We don't see the big effect. So that's my question, how much it contributes. I'm not saying there isn't anything, but I'm saying it's different. And you have here the blue one is the people born around my mother time. She was born 1920, so each core that we have is about, it's basically the 5 years around this date. Okay? So I think let's raise some issues. And that's the male. And you don't see the male. This is the married male, and this is the non-married male. And you don't see the story, beside that the non-married male work less, mainly, but the same pattern. So I think there is that's the kind of data we want to fit on the employment stories and separate them. So now about education. So I think the message I want to emphasize is that I think we did in our studies for years separating education into 5 groups. We will do in this paper, some places we will do only 3 because of state space, but I think the 5 groups is a big story. And I want to convince you that just looking on average number of years of education or just looking on 2 may be completely misleading. And you will see that for male and female, and I want to emphasize it that it has not converged yet. So it's not only to be historian. So I like to be historian recently, and actually as an econometrician I say I'm always historian because I looked at past data. But
as opposed to us to look at the future data?
no, yeah, make predictions. I think we should try to make predictions. Not only, one part of doing a quantitative model like that is to make some predictions on what will be labor force participation and what will be the education, which are a key source. When we started our first picture, we did back of the envelope calculation of what is the contribution of married female to the GDP per capita. And it was huge. I mean, when you do back of the envelope solo calculation, between 62 to 2006, it was about 40%. Just kind of analysis. But I think the question is to look forward, and I think the education is an important story there. I am not saying it's the only one. That's what I want to emphasize, and that's something about the kind of paper we write. But here is the story. So when we look here, this is the married female, and you will see very similar for male. So we have a huge decrease in high school dropout, right? The people who don't complete high school, that's continuous. And this is the this is the married, and this is the non-married. And you see that the non-married were less dropout, and it's continued to be this way. And if you look at the, sorry, I mixed up. The non-married has been more dropout than the married. Okay?
What's on the y-axis? Is it the
Percent,
people or the
this is the percent of the level of the people from the group in the population. Okay? So 50% of the people who are non-married were high school dropout in 1962, and they are now around 10%. And the high school dropout married were always lower.
Are you saying that close to half the population was high school
In 62.
dropouts?
Yeah. That's the huge change in the last 60
Are
years.
you taking everybody, or are you taking people between the ages of 65 and?
This is the people between age 22 to 65. Okay? This is the people in the labor force. Okay? These people are working. We want to see their productivity and so forth. Okay? The high school graduate, that has been, okay, hump shape, but you can see that now it's reversed. The married one were always, and now they converge to be about the same, and the married ones goes below, and it continues. The key story, so this, the key story is here. So basically what we see is that the married female were less, right? The married female were less college graduate, and there were less post-college graduates. So post-college graduate is basically like low degree and more, okay? 2 years and more, up to PhDs. They were less than the, okay, this one are the married. And the married, and recently, from the late 80s, at the same time, there is many more married post-college, and it's keep going up. And the singles, so there is a huge change in quality of married female.
You're saying that the post-college ones are better looking at?
They are more educated. They are much more educated, and they are much more educated in the post-college. And if you say where the college premium is, the college premium is here. It's also here, but it's much more here. And some college, so those who went to college and drop out college, you can see that this is the married. They were always less than the single, and they become even more less, okay? And they look actually overall more like high school graduates. So the division and the change, I think, is important. And the second one is really what's going on for the married, for the men. Basically, the story of the men is very similar. It's just that it happened earlier. So if you jump immediately to this picture, to the post-college married, and you can see it's keep going. And the non-married men, it's very flat and low. So this is this rich, and also the married, the college graduate married, they anyway. So that's the story is really in these two groups, and it's quite different. And it's and here there is less of an evidence, but it's very similar overall.
So can I just ask you, what is it you have in mind when you say quality? Is it quality? You have a story in mind about an improvement in quality.
An improvement in education.
But
It's not quality, and I want to emphasize it because there is unobserved aspect to quality.
right.
And the unobserved aspect of quality was probably always there. So I just want to emphasize, the point I want to emphasize that there is a huge trend in that, and the trend is such that the singles become, it's a different group now.
The question is,
And
a statement about the improvement of quality of married women. That's what the question refers to.
I know.
It could be that
I'm not saying that the quality in some abstract sense, unobserved quality has changed at all. And one potential explanation is just that now the high quality women who are married going to school. That's, I think, is a potential important story. So, and the question is why? And one you will have in mind is because they want a better husband. And the husband look for someone who has the same education as she has, and he is increasing his education. So one important potential story that we will go, since you asked, is really how the potential marriage affect the decision on education. And that's a key story of our model, is really how the household formation affect the education decision. So it's not only the rate of return to education in the labor market, it's also the rate of return to education in the marriage market. So what I'm saying is, I think this graph is also strike us when we start looking. This is the female story on wages. And what you see here for the female story on wages is that somewhere in the 90s, married female, their wages start going up quite substantially. And it's really, that's what I'm saying about the crisis. The crisis is really nice. I mean, it's really nice. I mean, it's really fascinating because it's a shock. It's an unexpected. I mean, the one thing about the crisis which I think is great for us, it's like a natural experiment because I would say in the summer of 2007, 0% of the people expected that they will be unemployed a year later or a year and a half later. So yeah, I think it's an important, and look at this, it affects the singles very different in the wages. They're flat, and the married one who are working are still increasing their wages quite substantially. What you see is a wage, annual wage, for female, married, divorced, and single. Starting in 62, in 2006 number, prices.
Most of it is selection.
Oh, sure. No, this is the whole story. I want to tell you, it's all selection. So I'm going to write a model of selection. That's exactly so. But I think we should do the selection of the marriage, both of the male and the female, and whom they met, and blah, blah, blah. I know. I hope so. I hope so. What is also interesting is that there is a huge drop. Here is the number of people married, 80% in 62, only 58 now. So it's not only the the group shrinked, and the shrink of married increase a lot of the divorce and single, but mostly, presumably, with lower wages and lower education. And the male, the married, it's really interesting that recently, look at so this is it's really also interesting in the crisis. This is the married one. This increase for female, look what's going on for male in the crisis. But actually the divorce and the single still look not very high quality. Okay, both in terms of the trend and their wages, yet the wages are much higher. I mean, it's still worthwhile to be a male in this labor market. You're making, on average, 70 versus 50.
But where's the crisis here? It's the last 2 dots or the last 3 dots?
The crisis is 2009, so the last 4 dots maybe. 2008, 9, and 11. But I'm saying that until we finish this project, as you know, until we will converge, we will have some more data. I just wanted to make this point because I'm coming from the crisis as a deputy governor. I just want to say to labor economists, I haven't seen anyone yet looking at this shock. And we have a lot of CPS data, and we have actually 97 and 79 panel, and no one I have seen any work on the labor market, which is the whole story of the crisis, doing research. So this was kind of...
I would say.
But I think this is... Okay, so... yes. Go ahead.
No, but
but I would say that this picture are super interesting. The crisis is second order. I mean, look
No,
at
no, no, the crisis is a second order. Sure, no, I agree with you.
I wouldn't worry about the crisis.
The crisis is is to say, okay, I came back being 5 years as deputy governor during a crisis at the Bank of Israel. I am back into research. And I think the crisis is a big, important story for economists. And labor economics is a key subject of all that. And that's why I make this point. But I want to fit this stuff, and I want to focus on that as a. And maybe one thing we will do is really estimate the model up to the crisis, and then try to predict what we'll do. What will be the effect of reduction in offer rate as an offer rate of jobs as a way to approximate the crisis, whether I can replicate it.
How does presumably divorce now means something very different than it used to be 30 or 40 years ago, right? Because
We will talk about this.
there are older people divorcing in the past, now it's probably quite young people also, right? So
Cost of divorce is different, you know. Yeah, I mean.
it's cheaper, it's more acceptable, so.
But I agree. Okay, let me go on because I want to show you I think this is the most fascinating we estimate. So what we do here, we run the MOVE-FINet-CEAR equation for each cohort. So what you have here is the cohort, 25, 20, okay? This is actual cohort, really 1 year. When they are born. And we take all their lifetime data. Okay, so we don't, and then we run a simple regression. When you all have to know that due to selection, it's all biased. So those are correlation, because all the parameters here are endogenous, including the constant, because there is an offer rate, so some people are unemployed.
You don't want to take the 1985 cohort very seriously.
This is 1985.
Yeah,
I think so.
yeah, I know, but you have.
Yeah, but that's just,
Okay,
this is the data. This is data. This is not interpretation of the data. But this data is a dummy of the marriage premium after we control for education and experience by age.
And this is annual earnings.
Hmm?
This is annual earnings.
Annual
There's
earning.
no measure of wage or productivity.
No. This is the, it replicates.
Because you got to worry about babies as well.
This is just the motive. I hope to worry about babies. This is a striking. Female, until here, has a negative wage premium. Then it's 0. This is 0. And this is positive wage premium, and it may be due to small sample, but this is a story. There is a.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand. So the wages are of working women there?
Yeah, of course, only working women.
And you give so you don't give them zeros?
No.
That's law.
This is log
Is
regret.
it possible? I just want to understand what he's doing.
No, your question is great. This is just a sample of people working, standard. No Heckman selection, nothing. The point I want just to make that look at there is simultaneously two things going on. One is husbands, married husband get a lower premium, and married female get a higher premium. What do you say? No.
Of course not. The selection is changed over time.
Of course.
Yeah, so they don't.
But this is a data. This is
nothing.
this is what? Nothing.
Nothing. This is like, I don't know how to interpret.
This is a correlation in the data. This coefficient is correlation in the data. I said before, all these parameters are biased. Therefore, you need to. The point I want to emphasize is that I'm going to write a model where there is a selection of who is working, because that affects this coefficient. The experience will affect this coefficient, who is working, and the education will affect all these coefficients. Okay, so that's the case. The point I want to say that there is a big change in the numbers. So you cannot mix them. You cannot think about this period as one steady state. Anyway.
It is interesting because it is clearly selection, because marriage in itself does not
Sure.
confer.
So we write a model. So we move to the question. So we want,
It's the selection of who's getting married.
Exactly, and that's interesting. But
that's the point. Great, you got it. So you got, I should have this slide here.
Can I
Yes.
just say one thing? I mean, it's not just selection. It's also the fact that you're not, you're forcing the skill premium to be the same over time, just forcing over the entire time period that you're looking.
For each cohort.
No.
Or for each cohort. Each regression here is different cohort.
Okay, I take it back.
Okay? Each regression, we could actually put a time dummy for each cohort and see what would be the effect of that. And we didn't do it, we will do it, we discussed it. And I think Asnat told me that from what she recalled, what she did, it won't change the trend. It may change the level, but not the trend.
You're going to marriage premium, that's you're pushing a lot, right? There's nothing to do with the marriage premium.
Look, these two words have been used in the literature up to today in big time. Everyone who estimated, then they do selection correction, but at the end of the day, that's what they call a wage premium, is this coefficient, is beta 7. That's the way, that's the name. But, sorry, I have to run, right? Okay, so the question is, why does marriage premium, or why do married female now earn more? Answer different selection. So what we want is, so in this sense, as a historian, I think we as economists, which I like a lot, try to give like one answer. And then put one answer and say, this is the only answer. I think it's a great way to do it, but I want to give some alternatives. So we really want to do how much the marriage market affected, the selection, how much the education. I think education has to be endogenous here. And also the cost of divorce, the change in divorce and having the divorce inside. And the key, household production cost. So we want to give the standard stories.
Why not the story that selection of married women into labor? Why does it have to be selection of women into marriage?
No, both. Labor is for sure is endogenous. What do you mean labor?
Work.
Work.
You said the answer is selection into marriage. That's all. I was just wondering why the converse isn't there too.
No, it's also selection who is working, who is not working, etc. Whom you are married, whether they choose to work, whether they like to work, whether they like kids. It's our lifestyle. We discuss it in breakfast that this is our life story, right? For each of us. We are the group, I mean, you guys more than me are the group of people who are modeling what you are doing every day. So, anyway, so the model. So this is going to be a big model of selection, basically, and investment in. So here is, so we took at female and males, make decision from age 16 to 25. Age is T.
Before, just for clarification, are you going to tell us what is the exogenous variable you're going to use a little bit of, or some driver, because that is all this change?
Yeah.
Independent selection.
Yeah, there will be a lot of shocks, and there will be a Mincer equation.
No, that's not the question. The question is, what are the candidates for being the fundamental forces driving changes over time?
You just gave them.
Which ones are this?
You gave them
So
one.
one candidate will be the rate of return on education. Another candidate, I will talk about this later, so I put it at the end. Another candidate, you will see it when I put the model, what is exogenous in the model, and those will be the candidates. Okay? So we will do a lot of exogeneity here. So this is a standard kind of a household model. So then here I tell you what is endogenous, so the rest that you might think. And if I miss something, I will be glad to hear it, because exogenous is easy. So M is married, or UM. In school, you are SC equal 1. You make annual decisions, so individual makes annual decision. And what are the endogenous variables? Schooling. So we restrict it. Schooling is equal to 1. If if you are married, you are not going to school. And in the data, there are very few. It's only the post-college, which is important, but there are very few which are working while they are married. Very few study after age 30. And we are making the assumption that they are not employed, okay, when they are school. So that's reduce the state space in the decision. So this is a schooling decision. Employment. So we do employment is 0, 1, but once but you have a probability to get an offer. Once you get an offer, then you have a probability to get initially would take full-time and part-time as exogenous. So you get an employment package, okay? And that would be a candidate for changing over time. The employment probability and also the probability of getting either full-time or half-time. Most of the people are working either full-time or half-time. I mean, if you look at the data, it's spiked, it's simple, and you can even calibrate it and not really estimate it.
So that probability is exogenous?
Yeah, it can be estimated.
Yeah, but it's exogenous.
Yeah.
Depends on, it's deterministically.
Sure. That's one candidate to get a shock for recessions and things like this, is really this story. And both on the hours of work, so we can get the hours of work. And we can do the hours of work, binomial or multinomial or whatever. Married, once you are married, she cannot be in school, or he cannot be in school. When they divorce, after they marry, they get divorced, they cannot go back to school. We don't allow. Oh, sure. Divorce is endogenous, and then you are getting pregnant, so you have a decision to get pregnant. Only female can get pregnant, and P is equal to 1, and this is the state space. So basically, it's a standard married market with a weight lambda that we will take fixed. I don't think we can identify it. Remember what we are doing in the data. We don't have a panel data. We are fitting, we're taking one cohort at the end just to know what we are doing. We're going to take 1 or 2 cohorts or 3 cohorts, and we are going to fit their lifetime and estimate it from the simulation of the averages in the data. Okay?
You said pregnant. You look at pregnancy or you look at...
No, they will be pregnant before they have a child.
Sure.
The year before they have a child, they will be pregnant. So if we see a child...
I think it's a pretty natural assumption, but are you looking at births and therefore your predating...
No, that's what we...
For those who are born?
Yeah, it's just we are looking only for those who are born. No death rate of and no abortion. Okay, no abortion. But you can have kids. A female can have kids either she is married or she is not married. Okay.
You have full fecundity.
Yeah. So here is income. If you are married, your income is the income of the wife by the wage per hour of the wife. If both of them are working, there is some fixed cost, and if both of them are not working, they are going to get some welfare benefits, and we are going to calibrate the welfare benefit from some data related to the cohort and the time. So that's going to be a mission that we are going to complete, but we will do something about this, not estimated. Okay?
I don't understand what you said about the number. So this is fixed in which way? For every cohort? Or
No, we take... Think about one cohort, okay? Because if we do different cohorts, we will give them some differences. Think about this one cohort, 1955 cohort. So the post-baby boomers, which are the most natural. So think about everything we estimate for one cohort and how we will estimate it. We will take this particular cohort data. Okay?
And so, for instance, my decision to get education will not affect my lambda.
No.
Or the type of partner I have.
Oh, it does. So I'll tell you in a minute.
Okay.
Keep with me. I don't have, my time is over.
Lambda is the same for all couples, irrespective of the education of the husband.
At this stage.
That was my question.
No, that's at this stage we make lambda as a fixed Pareto weight. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, you're right. Okay. So what we have here is that this is the consumption. The consumption is income minus what you spend on the kids. This fee is how much you spend on each kid from your total consumption if you are married. We can make it endogenous. We think about this as a parameter at this stage. We can make it also depends on the number of kids. It can be decreasing if the number of kids goes up and so forth, but at this stage, take this as a parameter, okay? To make it endogenous, we make some, we are going to restrict just so we won't get consumption into a negative. We don't have savings, so in this sense, we are very different from some other papers presented here. I want to say that if I will take savings, then we need data on savings or data on consumption to really fit it, so we take it, we don't take it. It also complicates the model quite a bit. Now, if this is the utility. This is the utility of person J in the family. So J is either male or female. In the utility, we have this constant relative risk aversion. We put this phi is it's an important aspect when you estimate is that if suddenly you get married and you can consume twice as you consumed before, then all of us, too many people get married. And really, we use OECD numbers that say that a household of 2 is like a household of 1.75. Okay?
Is C private or public? You're assuming that it's public, but it's divided, right?
Yeah, but we are going to use income data. I mean, data from the wages. So and they have to make a decision whether to get married. And if we put here just the total consumption, given what we said before, too many of them will get married.
We agree that it's allocated, but then that would be endogenous.
Yeah, you can make it endogenous, but we will make it exogenous.
I'm really confused. Is the CM a public good?
Yeah, public good. Yeah, this is the CM is basically your income minus the expenditures on children plus a fixed cost of forming the household. So that's easy. And the point I try to just make is that we put some parameter here to being able to calibrate it such that too many people get married. Now we have leisure is getting into the picture in 3 ways. So this is the leisure of, so first of all, you have this value of being at home, and with these parameters, this is your free leisure of the individual, and this beta, we will make it a function of age conditional on health, what we will call the chronological age. We will use data on health. I think it's very important to use the health aspect here for many reasons. One reason is really to get the retirement going on already at the age 45 or 50. So this is just your leisure at home, your individual leisure. The leisure enter in 2 different ways. I will show you later. I don't think I have the time to go over everything. This is the value, theta, I will emphasize what it is. This is the value of marriage. So this is mating, how much you like your partner. This is the value of pregnancy. And it enters here. Pregnancy also could be also an index of J. So it could be a value different between the female and the male. But also the male, when he is married, may enjoy his wife being pregnant because there will be a child. And then there is the quality. Q is the quality and quality and quantity of children with some parameter, and that's will be another value of leisure. A key state variable, which is very hard to really account for, is that children at different ages has different time requirements. And if you follow all the children until age 18, it's make the state space huge. So we are making some assumption I will show you later. So we have some tricks to reduce the state space.
But if you like the quantity and quality of children, what do you like to be?
I will show you in 1 minute I will show you the functional form we are using.
No, I know. And I like it, but nobody likes to be pregnant. We like children, right? We like
No, you like to be pregnant because you want to get in the future kids. You like kids.
Aren't the kids in the queue?
The kids are in the queue, but the question is to get a new kid. This is the stock of kids. So suppose this is 0. The value of the immediate value of the first kid come from the future value of that, and it will affect n in the future. But today,
I'm 100% with you. I'm just worried about that pi pi m pt or whatever.
Look, you can make pi t 0 and then think that everything coming from the future you get pregnant. That's possible. That's just reducing the number of parameters. So basically what we are doing here is to get a little bit on details. So this is the value of marriage. You have some fixed number. We make it symmetric on the level of education. We will use 3 levels of education. Education is high school and below. So here we are using only 3, but so we make it completely symmetric, and we make it the same for the female and the male.
Can I answer about that?
Sure.
We're talking yesterday morning about how much more uneducated people divorce than educated people. Would that happen in here?
In the way we put it, it will not be directly affected unless we are making some assumption on the, for example, direction. Okay. So, for example, you will. It's not symmetric. There is a huge literature on that. I'm not going to. But at this stage, we put it simple like this. You won't get from here directly the way we put it. However, there are duration of marriage has an effect and can be positive or negative, and there are shocks to the mating value, and we can make this parameter different by the level of education, and that will affect it directly. Okay, that's what we can extend this. The second aspect is the utility from pregnancy. So we make some. It depends also on the health or the age of the wife. It depends on the number of children. So obviously, you would like less children when you get. We have a lot of more children, or your health or your age is your health is lower and your age is higher, which is almost equivalent. So we will put that inside. Okay. Then they get the quality. So you can see that the quality. So that's difference. You see that provides you sort of direct effect on having a new child. Okay. The quality is really more about the value of time you put for the kids. And this is the production, this is a CS production function with the number of kids you have and the time that the husband and the wife put inside, and then how much money you put into the kids. So you get really kind of a general quality quantity without talking about the direct effect. If you take away the direct effect of pregnancy, then it's all about the future. That's basically the story here. Then we have this mu, which is a way to get the time cost of children going down. So we put some kind of a random walk with drift cost of leisure. That's the idea here. So if you have a new child born, then this is positive, then or this is negative. Then what happens is that the cost of the value of your leisure, if it's positive, the value of the leisure goes up immediately, and then it's drifted down. And in this way, we don't have to follow the age of the kids all the time. So it reduced the state space to just one number here. That's a discretized number.
There are some estimates you can just.
We can just use it as a very good. Thank you.
With Miller, there's an estimation of.
In your old. Okay.
We use it in some papers just to do exactly the same, but it's
Okay. It's good to remember. We don't remember all the paper we read in the past. Now, if you are single, then you have a female and a male. The only difference between the male and the female, beside the fact that they could have different parameters, is that the male doesn't enjoy the pregnancy of a single wife. He doesn't have a wife here. Okay, so he cannot get pregnant. That's basically the difference. However, he still can enjoy his kids. Parameters are different. Could be different between, especially different for single than married in some aspect. Not all of them, but some of them. If you are single, then if you are single and below age 30 and not divorced, I mean, meaning that you are single, not divorced, then you can go to school, and you have a value of school, so you have a value of being a school independent. Then you have also a cost of this into your income. And then you have also the, okay, I will be done in a few minutes. Could I, 5 minutes? Yoram?
It says 0, but...
It says 0. No, just, I would do it fast, so just to get you the point. And then that's basically the single. I want to emphasize that we don't really have to go into who hold the kids, because we enter to the cost of the husband, the cost of kids. And it's a different parameter. So there will be a different parameter for a male if he's not in the family, and that's the cost you have to pay for the kids. And it reduces income. That's basically the way we deal with that. The wage function is standard. I think the only thing that we do different is we introduce health. We are going to use this health using NIH data and the transition from that, from different health status conditional on age. Otherwise, we have the same, but we will have actual experience going into the wage, and then we will have a wage offer, depends on your human capital aspect. The marriage market, so we are not going to solve the equilibrium marriage market. But what we will do is the following. So taking from the view of the female, there is a probability that at age T, she will get an offer, and then the offer will be distributed according to the age of the husband and the education, using the data, the actual data. I think other people were doing that. The key technical difficulty is that when you solve recursively, if it's a female, we don't have the Emacs of, or we don't have the solution going backward for the husband who is younger. So we will find some kind of a technical way to allow, to some extent, female getting married with a younger husband. It's a small fraction, but we want to take it into consideration because we think that that's actually something that is going on. It's only that we find out now more female getting married with a higher, lower educated husband and younger. And that's, I think, it's a key, it may be a key mechanism that we should consider. Once we have once she has an offer by the different, then we randomly select. Then we select the characteristic of the husband, everything, and then we do the marriage market, the marriage decision problem. And the marriage decision problem is we go on each age, we go backward solution. So once she has a husband, they get married if the utility, so she has to maximize her utility with all the different choices of her husband. He has to maximize his utility in the household, given the female that he faced with all the characteristics. He has to maximize his being single at this period all the way to the future. And if there is one case, one choice, after we do random choice of all the exogenous stuff, that both of this hold, then they get married. If there is more than one, then we pick up the one that has the highest utility given the exogenous weights. And that's the...
What do you mean by one set of choices? You mean for that given random allocation?
For this random choice, whether there is a case where she finds that if he works and does all this stuff and she does, then, then she can do that. And then he does the same. Then we have to find out that there is an agreement.
And then they commit to that future random?
No, they don't commit. They recalculate every period. And they recalculate every period. They take the random draw, okay? And they can divorce. And they divorce if they, and there is a cost of divorce. And taking the cost of divorce that may change actually can. So we take this will be a driving force, the cost of divorce over time for a given cohort. And that will make them to divorce. So I think it's very standard. I don't think we do anything not standard. But what you see here is that really what type of husband they will meet in the future. So all the decision on education when you are single at the beginning comes from two sources, the rate of return on education on the wage, and the rate of return in the marriage market, and the rate of return on raising kids with an educated husband and so forth. So actually forming a household. So really the point here is how much we can fit the education increase from that relative to some other sources.
So you're willing to consider things like the exogenous changes in assertiveness or exogenous changes in the process that people need?
I think we can extend the model quite a bit, but I think first what we will do is see how well we fit the model with a reduced even version of this one. And then we shall see how it works. And basically the program is I have to finish, it's the estimation by simulated, taking the cohorts of 50, 55, and 60 to identify parameters and to identify differences in, when you get to like recessions in different time of your life, etc. And then fit and prediction. And then basically try to see to what extent the change in the married woman can be, the change in the married woman can be extended after we collect for all this selection. So can we reproduce this this regression, kind of the indirect inference, and how important is the education and how important is the marriage, as the divorce and marriage and the selection here in generating all the fact that I showed you at the beginning. And so it will take a few years, but I hope someone will invite us back after this talk. So, thank you.